What up, nerds, and welcome to another childlike episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 428, recorded Monday, June 19th, 2023. Tonight we're talking about another classic. This is the original 1988 Child's Play. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy Stains. How you doing, Bob?
I like the reference. I'm doing well.
I know you do, Mr. Ska-Mang. Yeah, no ska on this one, though. Sorry, Bob. Nope. Just a little tease for you.
Unfortunately, they missed the boat on that one.
They missed the boat in 1988.
Renfield didn't. They got it right.
Finally.
Last but not least, making her triumphant return to Straight Chilling. Everybody, welcome back our good friend Rachel. What's up, Rachel?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me back. I'm glad I didn't kill it with Infinity Pool.
No, thanks for coming back.
I mean, you're on thin ice for sure. But we'll see.
I mean, I did talk about genitals quite a bit for a first meeting.
Oh, barely enough. That's the problem. That's the issue.
Step up my dick game. Got it.
We'll see how this one plays out. For listeners who might not be aware, Rachel, you are part of several podcasts. Why don't you tell everybody what you do and where they can find you?
Sure. So I am a host on several of the shows on the Zombie Girls podcast network, including the original Zombie Girls, as well as More Deadly, the Cast of Caw, and Stream Queens. Also, we do a fan podcast about Nick Cage called The Untitled Nick Cage Show. I dare you to try to figure out how we creatively came up with that. And we just cover horror from a lot of different perspectives. Like More Deadly is specifically about women-directed horror. And for fans of the show who are frequent listeners and know Caitlin, she is someone who's been on the show quite a few times and is a good friend of the show. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Slam all of that into your ears. Every single one. Do it.
Insert it in your ear holes immediately.
Oh, yeah, cool. Let's go ahead and tackle some housekeeping. I think we have a lot to get through, so let's fly through some of this here. Here's another reminder. We do have our July poll currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this July. This is Randy's takeover month, and he chose 3 animated features we're going to be voting on. They are The House, Paprika, and Watership Down.
Whoa, Bob. How those numbers looking? Paprika still on top?
Yeah, it's got to be the winner. Like, I don't see it.
Yeah,
everybody just
have to change
for Paprika. Yeah.
Bob, have you seen any of these films?
No, I know basically nothing about it.
I saw like half of The House, I think, where they came out because Randy was talking it up so much. Leave it to Randy, Mr. Obscure.
Yeah.
We'll just be going in blind.
Are you familiar with any of these, Rachel?
Yeah, I've seen all but Paprika. Okay. I mean, and I have the therapy bills to prove it. Watership Down. Jesus.
Cool. All right.
Well, Randy.
Yeah, we'll see. Get your votes in before the end of June. We'll see what we're talking about this July. In other Patreon news, we dropped a new mini cast last Friday in which it was a recorded Q&A session with Ted Gagan, the director of Brooklyn 45, from the Overlook Film Festival earlier this year. If you watch that movie on Shudder, it just hit Shudder last Friday. I recommend checking it out and then listen to our review on it. And for some additional context for that movie, check out Ted's Q&A over on Patreon. It was great, really informational. And like really heartfelt. He got into some emotional stuff. It was good. Check it out. Not this Friday. Friday after? No, this Friday. Yeah, this Friday. Juice, you got a new mini cast drop, and you're talking about the Pope's Exorcist.
Yeah, Bob, you stole my 100 spot. We now have 100 mini casts. I guess this will be 101. Yeah. Well, yeah, Ted stole it. Well, that's more appropriate then. We'll give it to Ted. Yeah. So yeah, this is episode 101 of the mini cast. And yeah, I was talking about Russell Crowe and the old Pope's Exorcist. Russell Crowe slanging demons around, doing his crazy action horror-y kind of thing. It's an interesting film, but yeah, I'm share my full opinions on that coming up this Friday.
Check it out. Slinging them demons.
Woo.
In other Patreon news.
Euphemism.
Yeah, no. Slinging the
So that's what the kids are calling it.
I gotta make this movie sound as enticing as possible.
Yeah. We're going to be opening the You Pick the Flick tier on Patreon Sunday, June 25th. So if you guys are listening and you want to outright pick a movie for us to a review on the show, this is the only way to do that. We open this tier quarterly, and there's only 5 spots per quarter. They typically go fairly fast. So mark your calendar for Sunday, June 25th. We're going to open it at an undisclosed time of day. You just got to check Patreon throughout the course of the day, and if it is open, go ahead and grab you one. That's
Bob, as I understand, that's only $100 per spot. Is that correct?
No, it's on a discount this quarter.
Oh, what?
I know.
Just giving money away.
We're giving you money.
Crazy Bob!
Come on down to Crazy Bob's discount department store. Yeah. June 25th. Sign up.
How much does that cost, Bob?
Oh, it's $25. It's $25. And
okay. Are there any kind of bonuses you get with that?
Matter of fact, yes, there are. Juice, thanks for asking.
So what happens when Randy leaves?
Yeah.
He has Randy bumps.
Yeah.
You get to pick a movie for us to review, of course. We send you an enamel pin that is exclusive for people that have joined the You Pick the Flick tier. We also
forgot about the enamel pin.
I know. Probably everybody has. We also send you a custom VHS sticker with the movie title of your choice, and then we also put like our rating and the date we recorded the show. And we also encourage you guys, you don't have to do this, but we encourage you guys to send an email or a voicemail with your own rating and review for the movie, and then we'll play or read that on the show and kind of make you guys more part of the show. I think that's everything you get.
Yeah, part of Straight Chillin' history.
That's it. Yeah. I think that's it for Patreon. Juice, what do you got going on?
Oh, Bob, I've got so many things. So starting off, we're just about a month away now from our event that we're hosting here in Seoul. That is going to be called Summer Chills, and we are co-hosting it with the Dark Side of Seoul and the DCC Cafe here in Seoul, which is where it's going to be hosted. We're going to be doing some screenings. We're going to kick it off at 7 p.m. with the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And we're going to be following that up with a Korean film called Whispering Corridors, which is like a ghosty film. And so, yeah, we're going to be hanging out. Me and Sean are definitely going to be there. Even beforehand, the DCC Cafe has a lot of comic books and board games, so feel free to come hang out with us. They got really good food specials too. We're going to be doing some raffles, giving some prizes away. So come hang out with us on July 22nd. That is a Saturday. It's probably going to be raining because monsoon season's coming. So come hang out and watch some spooky movies with us. Also coming out next Monday. Yeah. So next Monday is a new Creature Comforts, which is our YouTube spinoff series where we cover horror adjacent properties. I'm talking with Jacqueline from A Cut Above, and we are discussing The Wizard of Oz, OG throwback.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice.
So excited to finally sit down with Jacqueline and have a one-on-one conversation. That was really fun. Also, Bob, you have a new Tiki video coming up in preparation for Jaws. You are making a brand new Jaws themed Tiki drink. What was that called, Bob?
Jaws. Yeah. Really more in preparation for 4th of July because Jaws has been out for a while, but
well,
never heard of it.
You know, we're all watching it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, 4th of July is around the corner, and I wanted to make a tiki drink inspired by Jaws, and this one is called the Quint's Quench. So the character Quint in the movie, he's a salty seaman. He's gonna go hunt and catch that shark. And there's a couple choice beverages that he chugs or talks about throughout the course of the movie, and I wanted to use those ingredients to make a tiki drink. So I did. Check that out. What date is that going up on YouTube, Juice?
So that's going to be going up on Thursday, the 29th. So plenty of time for people to go out, get the ingredients, make the cocktail for the 4th of July, if you're interested. But I had that tiki drink. Well, I shot them all. So yeah, I definitely tasted it. It was delicious. That one was probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So perfect for 4th of July.
Apparently there's a Narragansett shortage. So if you do want to make it,
really?
I'll let you know right now. Go ahead and find some Narragansett. Yeah, apparently there is. Yeah.
Okay. Everyone's prepping for 4th of July.
Yeah.
And finally, starting next week, we are going to be covering the Baifan Film Festival here in Korea. It's our first opportunity to cover a film festival here. Bob and Randy just knocked out the Overlook Film Festival a couple months ago, and now we're doing Baifan. So I'm going to be here trying to be, it's like 10 days long. I'm going to try to be out there as much as possible, covering stuff on the ground. Also, we've been getting all kind of screeners and stuff. So Bob and Randy are also going to be participating. We're going to have YouTube content. We're going to have articles and reviews written up on our website, bonus episodes, all kind of stuff, interviews. So keep an eye and ear out for all that stuff. Ooh, Bob, I think that's all my housekeeping.
All right, I got 2 more things.
All right, Bob.
Real quick.
Rachel just, all right.
I know. The patience.
I mean, the FOMO is just stacking and stacking and stacking. How much can I take?
We do too much shit. At the time of you listening to this show, I will have just been a guest over on Plug It Up. I believe Caitlin usually drops her episodes on Tuesdays, so this should be out before this show. We're talking about a movie called Thoroughbreds. It's a great movie. It's got Anya Taylor-Joy in it. It's also Anton Yelchin's last film. Yeah, check it out. Watch it. Listen to the show. Plug It Up anywhere you get your podcast. Finally, we're going to be doing a Joe Bob watch party this Friday, the 23rd.
He's back, huh?
Yeah, he is back for like the second half of this season. So I think the next 5 weeks there's going to be Joe Bob's happening on Friday. So yeah, watch party Friday the 23rd at 9 Eastern. So yeah, hang out. Mark your calendars.
Ooh.
That's all I got. I think our house is clean.
All right, I've got the bump ready.
Great. Fantastic. I'm so glad.
House is clean.
All right. Let's finally get into the main event. We're talking about Child's Play, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Nailing it. Bob, do you have this box?
I do. I have it. I have it on 4K. No big deal. You know, it's not a big deal.
So you only just have one box? Is that what you're telling me?
No.
Not Laserdisc? I guess you're not a real fan.
Shit. I'm going to have to go shopping now. I do have it on VHS. I should have watched it on VHS.
You should have.
Flex.
I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah. But yeah, we're talking Child's Play, the original from 1988. This is rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 27 minutes. This was written by your boy Don Mancini, directed by Tom Holland, stars Catherine Hicks, Chris Sarandon, Alex Vincent, Brad Dourif, of course, does the voice primarily of Chucky, a whole bunch of other folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb, because the back of the box is really just talking about how dope this collector's edition is. It didn't really tell you what the movie's about.
You sure are lucky you bought this.
I know. Yeah, IMDb says, a single mother gives her son a much sought-after doll for his birthday, only to discover that it is possessed by the soul of a serial killer. Hate it when that happens. Man.
Yeah.
See it every day.
Every time.
Yet another statistic.
Yeah. Those back alley dolls, you know, they've always got something.
Something's always wrong with them.
It's usually just syphilis.
Every now and then you get a demonic soul.
Yeah.
Pays you money, he takes you chances. I don't know what to tell you.
Roll of the dice.
Got to stick it to the man somehow. I'm sure we've all seen this movie before. But
don't assume, Bob, because you're wrong.
Juice?
I've never seen this
Oh,
before.
shit. Okay.
I didn't even watch it for this cast. I'm just gonna make it up. No, so the only ones I have personally seen are the ones that we've covered, which are Bride of Chucky and the 2019 remake. Yeah,
that's it.
I am.
Were you very surprised?
Well, about the film. Well, we'll get into it.
Okay, because it is a very different vibe than Bride of Chucky.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, well.
So don't assume, Bob. See?
Daddy and Daddy are fighting, you guys.
My fault. Well,
Daddy and Diddy.
Rachel, I know you've seen this movie before.
Yes, I have.
Would you recommend people check this out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it was interesting because I obviously have a soft spot for this franchise, as I said before we started recording. So it's hard for me to be subjective, but I'm going to try. It's been years, actually, since I rewatched this first one. And I was delighted by how much it held up for me because it was interesting to really go back and see how much the characters evolved. Because I think so much of us, like our memories of Chucky, are much more about the later eras. And this one is much less campy, much more unapologetically horror. And I think if you maybe skew a little towards enjoying horror more than comedy, you should absolutely revisit. There's a reason this is a cult classic.
Yeah. Well said. Juice, do you recommend people watch Child's Play?
Yeah, so we had covered the two other ones, and I just had never had a much particular interest in this, just mainly just because I didn't grow up with them or anything, so didn't have any kind of like nostalgia or any like strong feelings towards it. But through that, it, of course, knew the character, which is wild, like how much this character kind of transcends this franchise. And I was always kind of curious because it's a doll and he's tiny, and it would essentially be being attacked by like a 2-year-old child size wise. And so I was always kind of curious about how they approached it, especially because I knew later it got more and more campy, and we had covered Bride of Chucky, so like the kills get like outrageous and ridiculous. So I was kind of curious about where it all started, where it began. And yeah, I was honestly kind of like a little skeptical going in. I was like, this is an older film and this is the killer and stuff. But honestly, as the movie kind of like unraveled, I was more and more surprised and like, oh, okay, like, and kind of seeing and appreciating why this is considered a classic. And so yeah, I would recommend people check it out. It won me over. I was kind of like a little skeptical, and it won me over for sure.
Nice.
Bob, had you seen this before? How many boxes do you have total? Count them up.
I won't do that. I won't give you the satisfaction. I have seen this before a couple times, but I think the first time I saw it, I was probably like in my mid to late 20s. It definitely wasn't a movie I saw as a kid. I'm sure it would have like wrecked me as it did everyone else that saw it as a kid, but it did hold up like even at an older age with like no nostalgia or anything. First time I watched it, I was like really struck by it. It wasn't as cheesy as I thought it would be, because this like tiny little doll running around trying to kill people. Also, like the effects in the 80s, was it gonna look okay? It holds up though. I think it's pretty damn good, and I definitely recommend watching Child's Play if you have not. That sounds like just a recommendation across the board from all of us.
Nice. Yeah, buddy.
Classic for a reason, yeah. So we are going to spoil this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
On the ready.
Nice. The one that you're gonna nail.
Yeah. All right, Rob, do you have a plot synopsis for us today?
I do. I have it.
Plop it on me.
Right here. Okay, let's do this. So the movie starts off with Detective Mike Norris chasing a serial killer by the name of Charles Lee Ray throughout the streets of Chicago, chases him into a toy store. Charles performs a voodoo ritual, transferring his soul into a talking good guy doll. Right after that, the store is hit with lightning, causing it to explode. Mike ends up finding Charles's lifeless body laying next to the doll. We then jump over to a single mother by the name of Karen. She buys her 6-year-old son by the name of Andy, a good guy doll from a homeless man in an alleyway behind her work because she can't afford one otherwise. She gives it to him for her birthday, and she asks her friend Maggie to babysit him while she has to work late. The good guy doll attacks Maggie, shoving her out of a window to her death. Detective Mike shows up to investigate, and he considers Andy a suspect. Andy claims his doll killed Maggie and that the doll's real name is Charles Lee Ray. He just goes by Chucky. The next day, Chucky instructs Andy to skip school and take him downtown. Chucky sneaks over to his old partner's house and kills him via a gas explosion. Andy is again considered a suspect in this murder. He's admitted to a psychiatric hospital because of it. Karen returns home with the doll, discovers it's been moving and talking with no batteries in it. She lights a fire and threatens to throw him in. Chucky violently attacks her, and she tells Detective Mike what happened. He doesn't believe her still. She finds a homeless man that sold her the doll, and he admits he stole the doll from the store that burnt down. Mike takes Karen home and is attacked by Chucky. He shoots the doll, and it bleeds. Chucky escapes and visits his voodoo instructor by the name of John, who explains the longer his soul is in the doll, the more human it will become. John refuses to help Chucky until he tortures him with a voodoo doll. John tells Chucky he must transfer his soul into the first person he shared his true identity with, which is Andy. Karen and Mike find John just before he dies, and he tells them they must stab Chucky in the heart to kill him. Chucky finds Andy at the hospital and shocks a doctor to death. Andy escapes and runs home, but Chucky follows. Karen traps Chucky in a fireplace, lighting him on fire. A burnt Chucky chases them throughout the apartment. Karen shoots Chucky several times, blowing several of his limbs off. Mike's partner, Mike's partner Jack arrives. I know, it's a great scene. Mike's partner Jack arrives, who doesn't believe a doll can be alive until the mangled body of Chucky pops out of an air vent, starts to strangle him. Karen manages to pull Chucky off, and Mike shoots him through the heart, killing him. Roll credits. There you go.
Or does he?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's gone forever.
Probably. That's probably.
Spoiler alert. Yes. We never hear from him again.
So is this one that you saw when you were younger, Rachel?
So I actually saw it a little bit later in life because I am old enough that I remember the advertising for this. Cool. And it scared me. My parents had bought me a doll like Chucky for Christmas that year. Yeah. And it was not cheap and it was garbage immediately because I would not allow it to be in the same room with me. So this was kind of a movie that had like lived sort of in infamy for many, many years. And I would like look at the VHS cover and be like, ooh, no, too scary. And then when I finally did watch it, like I loved it immediately and I appreciated it. But like I have the childhood trauma, but I did not actually see it till I was a little bit older. And I think that's good because I think I picked up a lot more of the themes than I would have as a kid, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Smart kid.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because the design of this original Chucky, when he's all cleaned up and everything, it does look so much like those dolls that were popular then. Mm-hmm. And I actually just recently, one of those kind of things popped up where it was like, oh, look at this amazing advertisement they had for these dolls, because it was, I don't remember what they were called, but
was it My Buddy and Me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's got the song and everything and the kid carrying.
That. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if it did kill it. Yeah, because it looks so similar.
Yep. No more Teddy Ruxpins, no more crickets, no more My Buddy and Me. All of it was a wrap when this came out.
Interesting. I wonder if that something like that happened today, if that would be potential for any kind of lawsuit, because it is so similar in design.
Yeah, probably. I feel like people most likely would end up getting sued. I don't know if anything would come from it, but you'd definitely get sued.
That's interesting. Very interesting. I was watching. Yeah, I mean, I was very curious about that.
Yeah, They should have just started making Chucky dolls, and like horror nerds would start buying those.
Switch it around. Yeah, they were smart.
They'd have to be huge nerds. I was actually on a plane recently, and like 19-year-old kid walked on with a Chucky doll. But the Chucky doll had all of these like gold necklaces on.
What?
I was flying from Oakland to New Mexico, and coincidentally, when I flew back, he was on the plane again with the Chucky doll.
Damn.
I don't know what it was, but I was like, that kid is cool.
He must have been a trap rapper, I assume.
A what?
I'm cool enough to know what that is.
Who's a what's
I bet he was. I'm just placing my bets.
Oh, yeah.
That's so going off of that, I feel like everyone on that plane probably recognize and know who that doll is, despite
you
like
heard
not
it kind
being
of
horror fans.
As he went through the plane, you heard like whispers of Chucky. And I was definitely a part of the chorus.
Oh my god!
I think that's what's very interesting to me about this franchise is, like I said, we covered the first one. 2019 was the first time we covered it for the remake.
Yeah.
And that was the first Chucky movie I'd seen. I feel like maybe there were some on like some cable television at some point that I've seen maybe pieces of. But it's just, it's kind of like shocking to me how infamous this character is. I mean, as far as like visual like recognizability, I feel like probably more people would be likely to pick him out and know his name at least than maybe somebody might fuck up, like Jason Voorhees. They know the mask and recognize that it's a horror icon, but name to like visual representation, I feel like Chucky is like a lock for the top 5 for sure, like horror icons.
If we were tiering, I think it's S. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I mean, part of it, I think, is he's managed to kind of like transcend generation. What everybody knows Michael because of the new films, right? But for the most part, Jason has kind of fallen off. Freddy has kind of fallen off in terms of putting out new content, where we have this whole new series that's done really, really well that I think it's reinvigorated the brand.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a whole giant subgenre of like creepy ass doll and horror, and Chucky's like the doll of and that show is, I think it just got renewed for a 3rd season. I watched the first season. I was like pretty engaged with it. I hadn't seen the 2nd season yet. Have you been keeping up with that?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's queer, so I've covered it a lot for work. And absolutely. And it's so camp and so fun, and if you like the franchise, it's such a love letter to the franchise, and it has allowed Don Mancini to kind of be unleashed in terms of things he wants to talk about and the ways that he wants to talk about it. And if you're a fan of the franchise, it is absolutely required watching, I think.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, that's another interesting thing about this franchise is like Don Mancini, with, I guess, excluding the remake or whatever, but like he's been able to just be a part of it, the entirety of it. Like he's and it's all canon, like it's all, there's no like crazy branches shooting off like Halloween. There's like 8 different ways to watch that franchise, but like this is just like one single through line, which is super rare. I don't know if I can think of another one. Maybe like Puppet Master is kind of that way.
Well, I mean, so if I was thinking about movies that came around this time, I mean, I feel like Puppet Master, I remember it, but I don't feel like anybody else kind of would. So talking about, how he has kind of overcome maybe even the struggles of the time of there were like similar things, but Chucky has definitely come out on top in that aspect. Yeah. And this is much, I mean, I think didn't we cover the original Puppet Master like way back in the day, and we were all like, this isn't so great. This one definitely holds up better. Are you telling me a
full moon feature isn't good? How dare you, sir?
Blasphemy.
Charles Band is I don't know.
Here come the haters. So here we go.
The effects in those Puppet Master movies are kind of rough, but like in 1988, like watching this movie, I think the vast majority of what you see on screen really holds up. Maybe with the exception of like the doll's mouth doesn't quite line up perfectly with some of the words here and there, but like outside of that, I don't know that I have any major complaints. Like when he's running around, it looks great. Whenever like the big reveal where he finally starts talking to Karen and like he says some heinous shit to her, like it's still really effective and scary. Like it actually, this little like harmless looking doll is terrifying in that moment. And then the end, whenever he's all like burnt to shit, I think that looks even cooler. Terminator ass Chucky coming after you, like, is super fucking scary.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the evolution of the look too, because it's something that kind of falls away as that go is the mythology around how he's becoming more human, but it allows sort of the subtle shift in the design. And by the time he's in that elevator and the lady's like, "Ooh, that's an ugly fucking doll," he really does, like, this sweet little face has morphed in a way that is subtle and really sinister. And I almost wish I had seen it as a kid, because I can't even imagine what like nightmare fuel those moments would have been.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I do like the design shifts because it does look very ugly, but also too, the texture, it does start to look like skin. And for me, it had this like psychological texture grossity to it, where I was like, I almost can feel it by looking at it. Like I can almost imagine what it feels like. So I was really actually impressed with that morph, because not only is it just ugly, and it helps to kind of be like, okay, now this doll is actually talking. And so I'm sure, that helps with that aspect of it, from a practicality standpoint, but just from like I don't know, like getting into this movie and like kind of falling into it, those things were working really well for me, because, like I said before, going into this, I was like, how are they going to make this doll not even necessarily scary? I don't know if I was scared by this movie, but it was effective. I was like, how are they going to make it effective? How is it not going to be so cheesy always for this little doll to be running around? And part of it was that texture morph and stuff like that, where it just started to fit the horror aesthetic more, where it's just like gross kind of, and just like unsettling. I was pretty impressed with that, actually.
I think it also really effectively utilizes our ideas about who is worthy of believing. So much of the tension is about watching these characters that are speaking the truth being totally ignored, and it leaves people vulnerable to be attacked by him. And so there's that kind of tension, I think, adds to the element of fear. That it's like a woman and a child who, especially in 1988, were not necessarily people who were going to have a lot of like societal like belief around the things that they say to be taken seriously. So I think it's smart in that way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it works for the character too, because that just keeps elevating. At first it's a child, nobody believes the child, and then the mother, and then nobody believes the mother. And even in the cop, as we see, even with the cop at the end, he's like, don't touch. He's like, even given just like simple instructions, don't touch it, and nobody's going to believe it, that's a reality. And so it allows this doll to just like keep elevating and elevating and elevating. And actually there was a really good scene with that kid where he's scared of the doll coming, and he's in the room and he's crying, and he's like, don't leave me alone. And I was like, damn, this is actually pretty solid.
Yeah. Later on, it's funny because it circles back in some of the later films. Alex Vincent stars in them, and there's like some great beats about like his childhood trauma and what a first date is like with him. Not good. Swipe left.
Unless you have a doll
Speak
fetish.
for yourself.
Maybe. Yeah, he's a really solid child actor.
I like a fixer-upper,
Oh, God. I'll fix you.
I want to say that's not relatable, but touche, my friend.
Shit happens. He's a great child actor. When the movie starts off and you see him putting breakfast together for his mom, and he burns that toast and then throws like a half a pound of country crock on top of it. I don't know. It's hilarious and super endearing to the character. Like, oh, this sweet kid is just trying to make breakfast for his mom. Or, yeah, he does a good job though. Like you're really mostly following him throughout the movie, and to like place a movie like kind of on this kid's shoulders. I don't know. It's like a bit of a gamble. Like not every kid actor is really like hitting him out of the park, but I think he does a good job for sure. It's cool that he's like still involved in the franchise too. Like I believe Brad Dourif is still involved. His daughter, Alex Vincent, like there's everybody. That's interesting. It's not like just Don Mancini. I don't know. I'm just keep coming back to that show. I got to watch the rest of that show.
You really should watch the rest of it. It's pretty great. It's the second season is high camp. So depending on your toleration for camp. Maybe it, but it is because it takes place in a convent.
Shit. Okay.
There's like, yeah.
Cool.
So as far as the timeline of this franchise go, is Bride of Chucky the fourth one? Is that right? Fourth. Yeah. Okay. So how does the original trilogy then, what kind of tone does it strike? Because I know there's this big kind of, even Randy's question last week, nobody called in, but like, oh, do you prefer the, like the more grounded Chucky horror based, or like the more ridiculous over the top kills and camp based? So how does like 2 and 3 strike tone wise?
I mean, you can speak to this probably too, Bob, but I feel like they are the more like horror specific, by the third one, when we get to the military school, it's a little more camp. Then there was that break, and then Don Mancini took over directing, and we got high camp. And then there's the third era where it was like cult and curse, where it's leaning back into the horror and some really bad CGI. And then and then the series, which pulls everything, all of those eras into the same canon.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, the original trilogy is more of a straight ahead horror like trilogy, I guess. And then they take it off the rails with Bride and Seed for sure. Yeah. In a pretty major way. Yeah, I think Brad Dourif's like voice acting in this is like super iconic. Like I can't imagine like in the same way that like Freddy Krueger, like you don't want to see anybody else play Freddy Krueger other than Robert Englund. Like you don't really want anybody else to voice Chucky other than Brad Dourif. It's like one of those like connections that you don't ever want to be broken. Like I don't know, his voice is horrific.
What about Mark Hamilton, Mom?
Mark Hamill did a fine job, but like it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it speaks to Brad Dourif that even Mark Hamill wasn't able to elevate.
Mark Hamill, oh my God.
That's the musical about Mark Hamill.
Exactly. The Child's Play musical.
Dimbola.
Oh my God.
I don't know if this is in your trivia, but there were other actors that they considered for the role. But I won't say them if they're in trivia.
I don't have
outside of Mark Hamill or outside of
Mark Hamilton.
Mark Hamilton.
Yeah, my boy Mark Hamilton. Yeah.
I don't know, Bob. Is that in your trivia? Because I don't want to spoil your trivia.
No, go for it. I don't have.
So, Gary Oldman was considered.
Oh,
that'd be a good one.
Wow.
John Lithgow was considered.
Okay.
And one that I think might have been interesting, but I'm glad it's Brad Dourif because I love him so much, was Andrew Divoff, who was the Wishmaster.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Wishmaster?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
That'd be good.
He has quite a voice.
He does. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, for Rachel's takeover month, I'm just going to pick Wishmaster because it is a shame that you guys do not know what I'm talking about.
Let's do it. The poll is one movie, Wishmaster.
Wishmaster.
Yes! I mean, it is the movie that has Jason Voorhees, Candyman, and I want to say, Freddy Krueger. All of those actors are in that film.
Wow. I'm looking it up right now.
And it also has it has Ted Raimi in it as well.
Our boy Ted Raimi. Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of heavy
There's some trivia for you. Caitlin, are you listening? That's a question for your next trivia night.
That would be a good ass question. I would obviously fail. I got nothing. We should probably talk a bit about old Chris Sarandon, right? Detective Mike. He does a pretty good job in this. He's like, I don't know, his character's really just there to be like, I don't believe you. Like, I don't know, they don't give him like a whole lot of range. I mean, towards the end, he kind of, has to start believing because he's almost stabbed in the dick by a doll, and he can't really unsee that. He does, I think he does a pretty good job. Like, Fright Night came before this, I think, if I'm remembering. Same director, yeah. And I believe it came before. He had a lot more to do in Fright Night. That was kind of like his bag, but I don't know. I think making the jump from like the bad guy in Fright Night to like the good guy in this movie, I don't know. I guess it shows a little bit of his range, but yeah, I think he does a fine enough job here.
Yeah, he's fine. The character itself is not particularly interesting to me. It's nothing to do with him. But I did like the approach of the single mother struggling. That like kind of hit, like struck a chord, because it did when he's making the breakfast at the beginning, and him also like wanting the kind of expensive toy, and his mom being like, she tries to get him like as close as possible within a range, and she's like scrambling for it and like having to leave work. That just all really worked. And even like, though, I guess really my biggest beef, and it's kind of part of the time, I guess, a little bit, but my biggest beef was I really liked how her friend kind of stepped up and was, helping watch the kid, because that felt like really true as well. And her being the first death, I kind of wanted it to hit harder because obviously she had like gone so much out of her way to help this mom, which like really connects people, I think, in a certain way. So her death was kind of like, oh, she died, oh my god. And I was like, I wanted that one to kind of hit harder, because I felt the bond. I thought that aspect worked really well. So I like the whole like single mom kind of aspect, just struggling to get by. It worked for the story for me.
Yeah. There's that scene in the beginning where Karen's like asking if her friend can cover her shift, and the manager's like, absolutely. It's like her son's birthday. She's like, I just want to like celebrate my son's birthday or whatever. And he's just like such a like blowhard about it for seemingly no reason at all. Like why would that be your problem? I don't know. That just like the 80s. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think that's just the 80s, my guy.
yeah. Probably
Facts.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of Mancini's anti-capitalist film. The film started, like its origin story was it started as a film about like an anti-consumerism and advertising film. And then kind of evolved into what it is now, into more of a horror film. But I think that's some of that DNA of that is still in that scene. And also, the movie was originally 3 hours long, the first cut. And I wonder how much of it was like speaks to what you're talking about, not necessarily seeing more of that relationship. Because I think you're right. I do think that of the kills, that's the one that you're kind of like, okay, well, that sucks. Yeah. I mean, in terms of like the themes that really hit me as I was watching, I've watched this multiple times over the years, but the one that really struck me is like how effective an allegory this is for bringing in like an abusive step parent, which was interesting that I didn't necessarily pick up on the past. Like I always picked up on like paternal isolation, because I know so much of the franchise in general is at first an unpacking around his queerness for Don Mancini, and then becomes a celebration of otherness as it goes on. And so I kind of always focused in on the way that there was an absent father. Like we know that he's passed away, but this time I started like really thinking about the role that Chucky takes on when he enters the family. Like he is very much like he comes in as a friend, and there is a desire to please him, and then he sort of isolates by killing off the friend. He isolates the family, cuts them off from their support systems, and then there is kind of the ways in which he gaslights the child and the mother, and creates an isolation between the two of them as well, and breaks a trust between them as well. And so I kind of I don't know. I kind of clued in on it this time, and I haven't fully unpacked my thoughts around it, but I do think there is some allegory there about bringing in a step parent that I thought was interesting.
That is really interesting, because actually in considering it in that way, that's actually very interesting. And I didn't consider that at all, 0%. But as you were talking, like these kind of light bulbs were going off, because I feel like in that way, it kind of approaches the way of kind of that's if you take that psychology behind it, but then it approaches the mom in a still kind of more like sympathetic type of way, where I feel like a lot of the time is when if you bring a partner into the home and it ends up, like you said, at first it's friendly and it's all okay. And then like it's they start to use the child in forms of like negative effects, not even necessarily abuse, but could be abuse. But, you know, it's always like attacking the mom. How could you bring somebody like this in to like hurt your child? But in this way, it kind of still like there's not as much of that. You're not necessarily like, Mom, how could you buy this toy for your son? It's you're more focused on the evil that is the entity that is doing and that's really wild to be able to capture that and be like, no, this is how it should be. You know, the mom can take some blame for not trusting her son or not, you know, fully investing the time to hear his worries and opinions about the situation. That's fine. But yeah, to put all of the blame on the entity itself, not on the mother, that's pretty interesting.
Chucky's the worst stepfather you ever had.
Yeah. I also think that there's some like commentary around like systemic breakdown as well, because the police also don't believe her when she comes forward. You know, so I think you can see some sort of allusions to that as well, which anything that's critical of the system, I'm like, yummy. Yeah,
that is very interesting. That's not something I picked on at all, but something that like as soon as you said it, all the light bulbs were going off, and I was like, wow, that's really strong, actually.
Telling the kid like fucked up things behind closed doors and like bringing them downtown to a crack house when mom's at work and like. Yeah. Well,
also him, the thing that really like immediately struck in my mind was when he tells the kid, no one's going to believe you. He tells him honestly. Yeah. He's not even he is manipulating him, obviously, but even as a kid, it's like, nobody's going to believe you. So you're, to isolate them, like you were saying, wow, that's really interesting.
I mean, that's like such a classic tactic, right? Manipulation tactic.
Yeah. Don't even bother. They won't believe you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That had not occurred to me.
If you do, I'll hurt your mother. Like these are things that abusers classically say. So, yeah.
Wow.
Fucking Chucky. That definitely hadn't occurred to me at all. The only, like, I guess, metaphor or allegory that it's pretty on the nose. It's like, I don't know, the way companies like have and continue to advertise to children, like directly, like totally taking full advantage of these kids. And then like having them work their parents over to like, spend over budget on these things and that they don't need whatsoever. I don't know. That's like a very service level reading of the movie, of course, because that's just exactly what happens. But that's
yeah, it is, because honestly, that's something that resonates with me here too, because that is something that's very prevalent in America, and it's obvious for us to like look back now, and even we can look at things like shows like Transformers that were so prevalent that take on that idea, and it exists in Korea but in a different way, and it's weird to see it like flipped, because it's easy for us to like look at it and kind of like we've had decades now to kind of like pick it apart and criticize it. But in the form of like Korea, it exists, but in the ideas of education. So for instance, like so when I'm teaching adults, one of the conversations that I've had with people is the idea of potentially like having children. I'm considering having children. Oh, like what's your like, why don't you maybe want to have kids? Well, they cost a lot of money. Well, like, why do they cost a lot of money? Well, they have to go to school. And like, well, school's free. Well, not the private schools. So in Korea, it's all about like privatized education, not necessarily like the main school, but after school programs. And to the point where even like kids, like now it's like sending them to like this English kindergarten so they get ahead, and they go to the best schools to give them the best opportunities, and this pressure builds on people to where I say, like, if I say to somebody, you don't have to send them to like English kindergarten, like you don't have to send them to these like overindulgent after school academies, stuff like that, and they're like, yes, I do. Like the pressure of the identity of it reflects on you as a parent, as a person, like almost like, how could you not take care of your kids in this way? Yeah. The moral failing, which hits even harder when it's the single mom and stuff like that. And so it's interesting, this aspect of how it can exist in different forms. It's not just like, oh, buy me this and I want this and I want a new iPhone or I want these things, but like in like the moral structure of society of what is a good parent? Like, how do you properly take care of your kids, and like what kind of pressure that puts on you in your own personal relationship with your own personal child? That's wild.
It's so insidious too, because I think it's so much easier to see it and villainize it when it's about consumerism and buying objects as opposed to like providing an education. Like there is some level of like, that's a more elevated endeavor, right? But if it's the same kind of social pressure and the same kind of financial incentive,
that's what's kind of like, you're right. It's more because of course I want my kid to get an education, you know, I mean, people exploit that, you know, still the capitalist aspect of is it, well, I mean, don't you want like this and like, don't you, and that's good for your kid. Right. And like, technically, I mean, kind of like, yes, in a way, of course, I want my child to be educated in the best possible ways, but to exploit that and use that as a moral pressure is crazy. And then of course single mothers in Korea have like this huge stigma and pressure, and so even that kind of stuff, it was kind of sticking out to me in this way where I was like, man, that like exists just in different forms. And like I felt that, I think that's why it kind of really resonated with me with the mom, because I'm like, man, she's like doing her best. Like, even like I'll spend $30 on it. Like I gotta get it because I can't even be with my son on his birthday. Like I have to work in order to take care of him. Yeah. But like I have this obligation to like get him what he needs and what he wants and stuff. It's like, man, it's a rough spot to be in.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that read. That's so interesting. Oh my God. That's so interesting. Look at us. Global discussion about child's play. Y'all thought we had nothing to say about child's play. We're taking it international.
That's wild that people feel so obligated to send their kids to those after school programs that it would keep them from having children at all. That's
absolutely. I mean, because it's seen as like the major like price factor of having kids, honestly, because if you consider that I feel the pressure, one, to like register them probably when they're born for this waiting list to get into this top tier English kindergarten so that they can have higher, like, so my kids would go to, so if you're in elementary school, you go to math classes after school or English classes after school that are designed for middle school. So that like you can stay ahead, and it just like stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks, because it all builds to essentially what is their SATs, which completely dictate what university you get into, which has a huge stigma around it of like social like hierarchy of like, oh, I just went to this university. I went to Harvard. I went to Yale. I went to these things. And it's just like, how could you deny your kid that opportunity to have the potential to because it could essentially affect their entire lives.
For sure.
You know?
For sure.
So yeah, and it
let's
really
not
does
just fix the system. Let's just
exactly.
in and out purchases. Like,
I mean, that's also just an insane amount of pressure to put onto a child. Like, you're going to Harvard. That's where you're like, not everybody's cut out to go to Harvard, you know? It's pretty exclusive. Even if you are cut out, like it's difficult to get in. That's crazy. Crazy amount of pressure.
But I felt for the mom, like hardcore. Like I think that's a good foundation to build this, at least first, you know, not having seen the other films, building this first foundation on, because the kid's so little too, and I think that's him watching the cartoons alone too at the beginning while he's making her breakfast. Like that's what's teaching him. You know, his mom is asleep. She has to work just to take care of him. And I feel like a lot of people could probably associate with this too, is like the television is his companion. It is his instruction for society. Even he is mimicking and that's what's just trying to sell him on something. Yeah. It's like, well, if you'll be happy when you have a friend like me. And, so like just that kid being alone, trying to take care of his mom as such a tiny little child that is just learning basic things about the world from the television. It set the stage really well for me.
Yeah,
to care about these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did the aspects of like the voodoo stuff sort of like feel weird to you guys at all in this?
It did not age great.
Yeah, not really.
I mean, it is partially responsible for at least my understanding of voodoo for a long time, and I think was had an impact on cultural zeitgeist around it. And it's easy to forget that that's like an actual religion, you know, like that is, and it's not like a major religion. So like when people do stand-ups of religion, I am not like clutching my pearls. Like, I don't care. But there is some degree in which that is such a minority religion that you kind of are like, oh, it's a little in 2023. I mean, it didn't ruin the experience for me, but it definitely made me feel the age more so than pretty much anything else in the film.
Yeah, I agree.
I would agree.
I don't think anybody in like 88 was watching this and saying like, that's probably not real voodoo. Let me go do my research. They're just like, oh man, they're possessing people, and you can, you know, grab a voodoo doll and, you know, snap people's legs and stuff. Like,
that being said, that snapping of the leg stuff was pretty great.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That's a great scene.
So another read is voodoo's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the only thing about it. I think it's the only thing that makes me not. It's tonally different. You know, that is the hint of the campiness or whatever, because I feel like everything else is grounded as far as it can be. You know, like you said, even like when considering those ideas of, you know, the step parent or, you know, partner coming in, abusive partner. Those are all very dark. And like I said, the kid being in the hospital alone and fearing for his life. And, that's the only aspect, and they needed to explain it, but it just is kind of like over the top wonky. I mean, I guess there is a man possessing a doll. I mean, that the core concept itself kind of lends to that tone. But other than that, I think it's just the only thing that's like tonally kind of sticks out. You know, it's like, I wasn't like crazy about it, but also, because of its age, it's easy enough to kind of say like, it's part of the time.
Roll with it.
Hand wave.
I guess like from what I was reading, the original concept for this didn't have voodoo whatsoever. It was supposed to have like a doll that was like as lifelike as possible with like latex skin. And I guess they were actually going to have blood in it or something that resembled blood. And Andy was going to do like a blood pact with his like new doll, and his blood would get into the doll system, causing him to like actually come alive or whatever.
Maybe in 1988, we don't do blood pact, brother. Right. Maybe we just no fluid exchange, please.
Oh yeah.
That's probably a good idea.
That feels irresponsible.
Yeah, that'd be a whole nother read on this movie. There,
so it's going to be a doll that was built with blood in it.
Yeah. That's according to the trivia.
You say that like it's weird.
Is that a problem? Is that?
I'm glad that doesn't exist.
True horror.
I guess.
For Justin.
Yeah, seriously.
Justin loves blood. He's a big fan.
I do know this about you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This was covered in Infinity Pool.
Yeah. Oh, and you talked about fainting lust in Plug It Up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just my thing now. Yeah.
I will say it had been enough years that I had forgotten that there was a whole sort of like Candyman light scene where we saw all of the murals, but it was of Brad Dourif naked.
Oh yeah.
I know you're all trying to block it out, but I'm not letting it happen. Okay? This erasure is not occurring today on Straight Chillin'.
Well, okay. So that scene was actually really funny to me too, because you know when the cop first goes there, you know, the mom, when she's kind of onto this, she's begging him, like, go to his apartment and just see. He's like, I've already been there. I was like, you've already been and seen this ridiculous mural and you didn't even check on this voodoo man? Like, you didn't even think that was maybe worth checking into?
Just a normal apartment, everyday apartment.
Everything seems in place here.
We haven't actually seen the cop's apartment. Maybe it wasn't.
True, yeah. Seems pretty normal to me.
It's just him, like, naked murals of, like, cuffing people. You don't know. You don't know.
Hell yeah. Chris Sarandon gets
we
freaky.
do not kink shame. We can ask kink. We can kink ask why, but we cannot kink shame.
Why kink? Hell yeah. Handcuffs, blood, whatever you're into. Go nuts. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Any other major things you guys want to touch on before we rate Child's Play?
Well, so you kind of that ending scene too, I think, is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
About it strikes that good chord between, I think, the horror. I mean, it definitely leans more into the horror, but it just how it kind of keeps coming. It's got that touch of camp going on to it. It's a good blend. I like it. It is a great scene of him. Even I like even when he turns his kind of head and starts talking and rolls under the couch, she like threatens to throw him in the fire and shit like that. That was a really fun moment for me, like a good Chucky moment.
Yeah.
And then him strolling down the hallway all burnt up and like just keeps on trucking. That was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I love it when his head is giving orders to his body and he's just like, choke him, kill him, don't let him go.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Whenever she first opens up the little battery pouch and like realizes that there's no batteries in them, like the tension that builds is just so good. I love that scene so much. But yeah, the whole end sequence too, the chase around the apartment is absolutely fantastic. When the headless, one-armed body of Chucky grabs that other cop by the throat and they like it takes everything they can do to get him off. Like that's a strong ass doll, apparently. Love that end scene. It's so good.
Yeah. I also really love, we touched on it briefly, but I actually really love the car scene where he's stabbing through the seat. All of that, like, I think it successfully shows how he could be a threat. Like when he's able to get under the seat and hold down the accelerator and those kinds of things. I think it capitalizes on, instead of being like, I'm just going to like yeet this doll off a cliff. Like, you could see how using the scale could make him actually pretty threatening because he can get places where you cannot get, but he can still cause bodily harm. I think it's well done.
I agree. I like that too, because not being familiar with this franchise, that's always the kind of thing. It's like, it's a doll, just throw it out the window or whatever. Yeah.
Roll credits.
Yeah. But now a negative for me in that same aspect, because I was thinking that I did like the idea of him being under the pedals and affecting it that way and having the knife go up through the seat and stuff like that. I don't like him choking him because this doll should have no weight, and even if they're like, he's turning human and you want to explain with voodoo, it's like that's not the aspect you should be playing on, because that's the kind of eye-rolling moments for me where it's like, okay, you just like, it's a doll, it should have essentially even if it has fleshy weight to it, it would be a 2-year-old child. So so I feel like I'm maybe moving forward they highlight more of those moments. I definitely know in Bride of Chucky where they take the scenes where he's definitely more stealthy and he's able to get in like smaller spaces and stuff. That makes more sense. So that was the only kind of moment where I was like, okay, this is what I thought I might be expecting, and like I don't like that. So
Fair.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and rate this thing. Let's do it. Out of 5, Rachel, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about Child's Play?
I love this movie. I understand it is an imperfect movie, so I will not give it a 5, even though subjectively I want to. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 because I think it is the best version of this kind of movie that you could hope to get.
All right. Yeah, I think that's totally fair. 4.5 from Rachel. Juice. What about you?
Yeah, I would say that this movie won me over. And I think even this discussion has bumped it up higher because I didn't even consider any, like what you were saying, Rachel. And I think that really struck a chord with me and like made a lot of sense. And I think it's is a well worked theme into this. And yeah, so I was kind of going into this a little skeptical, thinking like, I don't think it's going to hold up, or I don't know how it's going to hold up. And each kind of like little beat, I was like, okay, I see. And so I was pleasantly surprised by it, honestly. And I do think, it's one of those movies, going back and looking at dated things, some people even go back and say, oh, it's hard for me to watch Halloween like younger people because it's not scary to me. It's not dated. And I could definitely see some of that in this. The voodoo stuff does not really hold up well. It does lend to I do like the kind of bendy arms and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. But, it does have like some problems also too. Like I was kind of craving for a little bit more of the emotional weight of the friend dying. I thought that kill was fine though. But yeah, I just kind of want a little bit more weight from it. But I did like the escalation of like people not believing somebody else, even like when it gets to the highest chain. Some kills were cool. Even like there was tension, like even with the little boys on the bus, like just going to the bad part of town. I was like, oh, this little child, he shouldn't be there. So there's good like situational tension too. I like this movie, but yeah, it's I guess most of its flaws are just based around its kind of datedness, I guess. So I would give this one, I'll give it a 3.75. 3.75.
A little low, but okay.
I know. 3.75. You were just talking about how much you love it. And then,
I mean,
it's amazing, hilarious too.
Well, I also just watched it like yesterday, so I feel like this could easily rise up there. You always have to give room to grow, So, Bob, out of 5, even me out a scotch.
Oh, I'll even you out. I left room to grow when we did Alien, so I'll balance the scales here.
Bob did not.
How dare you?
Bob thinks it's a 4.5.
Hey, I left room to grow.
I've never been more insulted in my life.
It's growing. I left the room.
It's growing.
Yeah, I kind of love this movie. It's a little rough around the edges, sure. A lot of movies from the 80s are, but I mean, it sort of adds some charm to it in a way, even if like the voodoo stuff is a little cheesy and like maybe isn't exactly treated well in a respectable manner. Like it's of the time, and like hopefully people are aware that that's not really what voodoo is about now. I think that the acting in this is solid, man. Alex Vincent does a great job. Brad Dourif's voice acting is iconic. I mean, the design of Chucky is iconic. Like the way the effects hold up is just like really just kind of slaps you in the face. Like, the scene when he wakes up is terrifying. It's just, yeah, it all holds together pretty dang well. There's some like decent kills. Like I don't think we really got into the doctor who gets like shocked in the head. The gas kill.
I forgot about that kill. That was a really cool kill, actually.
Pretty gruesome. He's like bleeding out of his eyes and his mouth. And like it's pretty messed up. The gas explosion was good. The babysitter falling out of a window is like pretty damn tragic because she like lands on a car and the windows blow out. Yeah, there's some solid kills. It's also just like a nice tight 90-minute movie. Like it's pretty like straight ahead. It knows what it's doing. There's not a whole lot of fluff. But I think at the same time there's some threads that you can kind of pull at if you want to get a little more out of the plot. Or you can just watch it as a straight ahead slasher movie with a possessed doll, like it works on both levels. Yeah, this is a 5 for me. I'm just going to do it. Oh, wow. I'm going to give it a 5.
Wow.
Love it.
Right.
I love that for you, Bob.
Gotta balance it out. I will say, to be fair, though, I kind of coming into an episode, I generally have an idea about where it's going to go, unless a discussion. Like, I was prepared to kind of come in here around like somewhere between a 2.5 and 3, honestly. Damn. So you guys bumped me up, a significant amount. So good job.
You don't need Randy bumps. We got Rachel and Bob bumps.
We're bumping you up. Cool. Yeah, that's going to put our aggregate at a 4.4. Not bad. Room to grow. So yeah, let's get into our Rotten Tomatoes segment. Juice.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, I am taking over Randy's responsibilities, and I had this and then switched it off to look up Mark Hamilton. So let me go back.
Why isn't he coming up on IMDb?
Where's Hamilton?
What is this nonsense?
Patreon special. Straight Chillin' Musical, the story of Mark Hamilton in iambic pentameter.
Yes.
You're welcome. You're rich now.
Trademark, straight chillin'. So let's play our Rotten Tomatoes game. This is normally Randy's segment, but I'm taking over this week. So we are going to go around the table. Rachel and Rob are going to try to guess first the critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes, and then we'll hop over to the audience score soon. So this one has only 50 reviews for the critic score. Let's see. 50. So Rachel, I'll let you go first. What do you think the overall average score is?
So I feel like this is a movie that wasn't necessarily appreciated in its time. I'm telling you, I've been down a rabbit hole with this, so you'll have to forgive me. But I think, and it was like fresh out of the like slasher era. I feel like there was backlash at the time around like the violence. And I know it was like kind of like the supernatural era of slasher. So I feel like critics at the time were not appreciating this to the degree that it deserved. So I'm guessing like 65.
65. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. Critic score out of 100. Where do you think they landed?
I'm going to go higher than 65. I'll take an 80, please.
65 and 80. Let me do some quick maths.
I feel like I'm terrible at this game.
Whoa. Okay. So quick maths. I'm pretty sure I got this right. So Rachel is going to take this one. So both of you were close, but on opposite ends. So out of 50 reviews, the critic score is 72%.
Oh.
Wow.
So that puts Rachel 7 points away and Bob 8 points away. Yeah.
Yes.
So Rachel
finally working in my favor.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Well, yeah, I think that makes sense. But I'm really surprised at how low the reviews are on this one.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Yeah. So I'll look at some reviews later and see if there's anything funny about it. But let's hop over to the audience score and see what they think. This is back in the old school days of Rotten Tomatoes where anybody could jump on the audience score. So it has over 250,000 ratings for the users. Yeah, Bob, why don't you kick us off out of 100%?
I think it's going to be higher than the critics. I'll take a 78, please.
78. Okay, Rachel.
78 is pretty high because I feel like there are a lot of haters in the audience, but I also feel like, sorry, my cat is attacking. There is a pretty solid fandom for this franchise overall. What was your 78?
Mm-hmm.
78.
I'm going to be that dickhead. 79.
Oh, shit.
$1. Well, I will say, Rachel, that's gonna cost you because it's actually now this is surprising. 65%, so lower than the critics.
Shocking.
Lower than the critics. Yeah.
You know what? I did not take homophobia into account. Damn it.
65.
That's a homophobic score. In Pride Month.
Yeah, that's
you should be ashamed of yourselves.
That's really surprising to me. I would have, if I was guessing, I would have guessed it was higher than the critic score because of its like cult status. I mean, as we said, Chucky himself was just an icon. So
that's cute.
That's wild. So the critic consensus is Child's Play occasionally stumbles across its tonal tightrope of comedy and horror, but its genuinely creepy monster and some deft direction from Tom Holland makes this chiller stand out on the shelf. Yeah, okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't normally agree with critics about horror films, but this time I think they kind of nailed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A rip-roaring, low-budget screamer, says Nigel Andrews.
Screamer.
Nigel.
Yeah. I don't see any funny. There's not. It's like, so as low as these scores are, they're not even showing me a lot of negative. There's only like 2 negatives visual that I can see on this page, and they are not funny. They're very kind of pretentious. So we'll we'll skip Randy's little segment here and say it was a tie. So Bob got one, Rachel got one. Congratulations.
Right. Nice.
If I was going to tie with anyone, Bob, I'm glad it was you.
Likewise. I don't ever want to tie with Justin, but with you, any day.
Well, you don't have to worry about that, Bob, because I'm always whooping your tail.
You just wait till next week. I'm coming in.
All right. Let's see, Bob. Do you think we should go hunting? Do you think we should go? You think there's
some trivia to get into?
Oh yeah, my bad. Oh man, I just can't wait for Randy to come back.
Randy would never do this.
I cannot handle this.
It's totally time for trivia.
Oh my god.
Just let me cue it up, man, and then you.
Yeah, Bob. All right, you go. You got it. Take the wheel, Bob. Take the wheel.
Taking the wheel. Yeah, there's a decent amount of trivia on this one. So Chucky's name, Charles Lee Ray, is derived from the names of several notorious killers: Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray, all combined to make Charles Lee Ray.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. The original working title for the movie was Batteries Not Included. I guess Spielberg started making a movie with that same title around that time. I don't know what that movie ended
You haven't seen it?
No.
He actually made it.
So depressing.
Oh, really?
Really?
So it's like, it was advertised as like a kids movie where these kids get these like alien like little tiny robots, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be so cute. It is like the Watership Down of like alien robots. It is a bummer, because it's a bummer.
Let's review it.
Wow. Maybe.
Well, yeah, they then changed the name to Blood Buddy and then landed on Child's Play eventually.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Yeah, that is a rough trajectory. I'm glad they ended up working
Blood
Buddy. Yeah. Again, circling back to 1988. Bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Different kind of movie. So the language...
That's after Soju beats you repeatedly during the Blood Buddy.
The voodoo that's spoken in this, which it's a language. It's a mixture of Haitian and Creole, but I guess is often mistaken as French. There's basically there's a translation. I don't know how accurate this is, but the translation of what Charles Lee Ray says is, "I call to thee, Damballa, give me the power I beg of you." Some of this is just in English because I remember him saying that.
Yeah, he said that.
Leave me mercy from this mortal coil, grant me life beyond death. Move my mortal soul into this vessel, I command thee, Damballa. And then he just repeats that line several times.
What if he just starts blinking right now?
Yeah, oh God.
That would be an awesome behind the scenes.
Another summoning.
I see it every day.
Go ahead and I'll go ahead and add the CGI real quick. You know?
Do it in post.
After Effects.
Screenwriter Don Mancini has admitted this movie was partially inspired by the Zuni warrior doll who attacks Karen Black in the Amelia segment of the television movie Trilogy of Terror from 1975. Have you guys seen that?
Heck yeah, that thing is scary.
Yes.
How not?
I can totally see it now. There's even like a part where she throws it in an oven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You guys you've not seen the fetish doll? Oh my gosh. Yeah, oh yeah, that's a good one.
I'm not up on my fetish dolls, I guess. Damn.
That is surprising.
I got some.
Time to brush up.
I need to do my homework. Damn.
Beast.
I got a day ahead of me.
I got some kinks that need uncovering. The scene where Andy is crying that Chucky will come and kill him. The filmmakers, this is kind of fucked up, had to make Alex Vincent cry on camera by telling him, Alex, think of sad things. Think about your parents dying. Damn, dude, that's fucked up.
Yikes.
Damn.
Yikes.
That's kind of fucked up. It's really fucked up because the performance was really good. He really looked really sad.
Are we praising child abuse?
Yeah.
Are we part of the problem?
Thank God this is entertaining me. 3.7.
That kid sure can. The landmark Brewster Building is apparently the setting for the family's home. That's in Chicago. I'm unfamiliar with that building. It looks beautiful, but this
I did like that design. The elevator was really cool.
Yeah, dude, it looks super nice, super schwanky. This movie was remade. There's a Bollywood version of this movie out there.
Cool.
It's called
Open up a new tab right next to my it was released doll tab.
Released in 1993. It's called Zapat Leela. I did find one scene on YouTube, and it's like part of one of the songs they sing, and it's entertaining. It's pretty wild. I'd like to hunt that down. I wonder, if that's a common thing, popular horror movies. There's the doll. Yep, Rachel behind the scenes found the doll from the remake. I wonder if that's a common thing in Bollywood to remake popular horror movies in Bollywood format with song and dance and all that.
Oh, that'd be dope. That's a new segment for us to start covering, I guess.
Find out what they're called and when they were released.
Well, there's a Scream for sure.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe
I don't know shit about Bollywood.
We should do a poll with 3 Bollywood horror remakes on it. That would be interesting.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. File that one away.
We'll get to it eventually, I'm sure.
This is the
9 more years.
It'll come around eventually. This is the last bit of trivia I have here. Damballa, who's the god that Chucky calls upon to transfer his soul into the doll's body, is actually one of the most important gods in all of Iowa, which I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Which just spirits that belong to Haitian voodoo and other African religions. I guess he's traditionally portrayed as a great white or black serpent, originating from the city of Weedoo. And he's also known as the Sky Father and the primordial creator of all life. So that is who Damballa is.
Dope.
Okay.
Now we know. We all know. So yeah, that's pretty much all the trivia I got for this one. Now, right. Justin, we can go hunting.
Okay.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Ho! Cooter's character type in a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviancy, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Do we have a cooter in Child's Play?
I nominate Chucky.
Yeah.
Seems like a safe
bet. Bob, what you got? What's his biggest point?
Let's start with patheticness. He is terrorizing a child. I mean, really a whole family, but primarily a child. Taking advantage of this kid too. Manipulating this child.
Manipulation would have been my highest. Yeah, manipulation. Yeah, he is definitely manipulating the kid to carry him around, which I wonder too. I guess that's pretty smart. I assume now looking back that he's still kind of like gaining some functions, because as he's like morphing, he gets more and more like weight and consciousness and stuff. So maybe he like really needed the kid to help him get around at first, and he's kind of getting more and more capable. Because at the end of the movie, he's like fucking. He doesn't need the kid. He's scaling, the fire escapes and everything. So, but yeah, manipulation for sure. Patheticness.
Yeah, I think patheticness for sure.
Mm-hmm. Is there any sexual deviance? Smug.
I mean, later there is. So if we're like doing full canon, yes. If we're doing this, I'm like,
yeah. I mean, nothing really particular.
Well, think about the mural. Was there some like sexually deviant things on the mural?
That's a good point, because really, we're taking in like this whole guy, Charles Ray or whatever. So, he was naked. Was he like banging a snake or something? Maybe. I don't.
Yeah, I think definitely banging a snake.
Snake banging.
There's something going on.
My head canon he was now.
Going to the
so I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of sexually deviant to paint murals of yourself, like, nude in your own
speak
house.
For yourself.
Never come to my house.
When did you ever say you weren't a deviant?
Yeah, true. And also too, I guess, well, that's manipulation. I was going to say with the voodoo guy, he's like blackmailing him or like
he's literally breaking his legs. That's pretty manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a 10 on the scale when you're snapping limbs.
Smug arrogance for sure.
100%.
Patheticness. Looking at Tyre, he's a doll.
I think that's fair.
I think beforehand, I guess we could. I guess I need to look at this mural, because when I try to picture this mural in my head, all these kind of crazy things keep popping up in my mind, and I'm like, okay. I feel like he was wearing this wild top hat while also naked. Does that like register with anybody? Am I making that up?
I don't remember. Honestly.
I hope not. I hope that is true. I want that to be true. I'm gonna have it going in the background here. Let's see.
I'm gonna see.
Boop, 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 boop.
Oh, it's hard for me because I said child's play, painting, or mural, and it's just pictures of Chucky himself. Damn it.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to kind of like log down.
Voodoo, mural, child's play.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's snakes.
I do remember the snake. I feel like he had it. Oh, here. Okay, I can kind of see it. He's definitely naked. Several times. I gotta like.
All right, here we go.
No top hat. I was wrong.
There's weird. Oh, okay. I'm there. I've made it.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Enhance.
All right, she's looking around. There's a lot of upsetting mannequins.
Save. Right click. Save.
Print.
Okay, now.
He's cutting. Oh, is that his own arm?
There's a cut up lady who is just boobs. Sexual deviant.
Okay.
I'm calling it sexual deviant.
Sexual deviance. Huh. Yeah. This is a wild mural.
So I think he hits all 5 then. That should take
I think points. He does. Yeah. Maybe a little lighter on the attire. You can't help if you're a doll, but
he can help. He could just not be a doll.
Not if you want to live forever.
He's trying. He's trying.
Yeah. I suppose so.
Also, too, I forgot about this aspect. If we want to give some kind of look in attire, that Chucky doll that's in the show that is giant size, that's like a mannequin or whatever, that thing is horrifying. You guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
So when the kid is watching the Chucky show before he gets the doll, and there's
by the way, the director in that, yes,
really,
that is the director. Yeah,
that thing is
Tom Holland.
Horrifying.
It's horrifying.
Yeah,
the 80s was a wild time, man.
Yeah. This shit's fucked up. Which the thing is, you're right. That's plausible that they would try to pull something like that off in the 80s. And like, oh, yeah, don't you love this little mascot? You're like, fuck no, that thing's terrible.
Have you seen Bananas in Pajamas? Jeez.
Holy shit, that's a throwback. Right. Damn. Wow. That's awesome. Damn. Book him. I think we got him. Yeah, I don't think there's really anybody else.
No.
Maybe Eddie Caputo if we want a dark horse. I mean, he's hanging out in a cracked inn, left his friend to get killed.
Yeah, he did sell his friend, I guess.
Cooter attire for show. I don't know about manipulation.
Pathetic for bailing on your friend.
I guess it's kind of manipulation to kind of maybe sell him out, I assume. Or, well, I guess we don't know the finer details of the situation, but patheticness, probably manipulation, maybe some licking a tire, crack house.
Yeah.
We could probably book him too. They can sure sell.
Cooter light. Yeah. Let's call it misdemeanor as opposed to Mr. Felonious over here. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Deal.
Cooter light.
I think we got him. Yeah.
We got him. Good hunting.
Let's talk about what we've been watching this week.
That's me.
Do you want to do a little acapella number for you?
There it is.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Not used to all this responsibility.
It's all these button mashings really putting me to the test.
I actually, after the Cooter bump, I was like, all right, I'm done with the bumps. Don't have to worry anymore.
So close, man. Just one more and then you're home free.
Cooter bump means something totally different to me.
Nope, got to take them out of context.
Ooh, phrasing.
All right,
yeah.
Rachel, what you been watching this week?
So I haven't been watching a ton, but I did catch the new season of Black Mirror. Are you guys watching that?
I have not, but I was having lunch with a buddy yesterday and he was talking it up, so I got to check it out.
This season it's quite good. I won't spoil anything for you, but I will say it leans into horror more than previous seasons.
Cool. Wow,
There's one episode that I don't even know what the tech angle is. It's just a monster of the week.
Cool.
Okay.
That is pretty fun. And the show can be pretty bleak. There is one episode that is so dark that it is like haunting me to this day. But there is the very first episode is an episode called Joan is Awful, which is it stars Annie Murphy from Schitt's Creek. I don't know if you're a Schitt's Creek fan, but I love her. She's amazing. And it's her and Salma Hayek. Oh. And it is both horrifying because it like plays in sort of the realms of AI, which as someone who was a writer about to watch my entire industry disappear to robots. Some of you did not watch Terminator and it shows. But it's actually, even though it does kind of explore those aspects of tech and future tech dystopia that is current tech dystopia, it's also very funny and has a little whisper of hope at the end. So like if you are a fan of the series, but you're like clinging to San Junipero because it's the only happy episode, there is a new one in canon that you can look forward to. So I would definitely recommend the new season of Black Mirror.
Nice. Added to the list for sure.
Yeah. The only other thing I watched is a movie called Jagged Mind. Did anyone see this?
I started it, so I'm about halfway through. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to say anything to spoil it for you, but I will say, to some degree, some of our issues with Child's Play are addressed in a more positive way in this film, specifically around the mythology in it. The director, Kelly Colley, started her career as an anthropologist and archaeologist. She actually got into filmmaking on a dig site because she ended up working with some people who were doing a documentary there, and she got a producing credit because she just like was helping them so much and transitioned into filmmaking. So those sort of like religious aspects are things that she treats with a lot more respect in that film.
Cool.
I liked it. I thought it was quite good.
I was digging on it so far. Yeah, I'm about 30 to 45 minutes in. Yeah.
Okay. It like blends two of my favorite things, which is like women directed horror and like an 80s, 90s erotic thriller, which is like my favorite genre. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I was like in the bag for it, kind of.
It kind of like just the overall look and style of it. It reminded me of a movie that was in my top 10 last year that I cannot remember the name of. Bob, do you remember my top 10?
What was the movie about? Maybe I can help.
It was about the like housemaid, or she goes to take care of the nanny. She's a nanny.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Nanny, probably, right?
Was it Nanny? Yes. It is Nanny.
So I have a fun fact about the movie you're watching and sort of the style, because I interviewed the director and I was asking her about influences on the film.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, I was like, yeah, I was thinking Rosemary's Baby, Don't Worry, Darling, those, horror films. And she's like, so actually the visual style of this movie is inspired by Ratatouille.
Oh, really?
Okay. She wanted to take certain elements of the visual style of that and bring it into live action. So you may pick up on some Ratatouille when you go back to it.
Yeah, one of the reasons they kind of it was the kind of like the color palette. It is like there are moments like where it's very vibrant.
Yes, especially in that bar in Little Haiti. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there were moments like that in Nanny too that just like the visuals like similarities kind of like struck for me. So
what's the name of the movie again?
Jagged Mind. It's on Hulu.
Jagged Mind on Hulu. Okay, nice. Adding that to the list as well.
Yeah, the list is long.
Yeah, I know. It's longer every day.
It's another good year for horror, which is a bummer for my social life.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else, Rachel?
That's it for me. Yeah,
right.
That's what I've been watching lately.
Juice, what you been watching?
So I have to navigate. There's like some things we can't talk about yet.
We love an embargo.
2 weeks. So I'm navigating and saying like, I watched Mother. So Bong Joon-ho's Mother from 2009. That was the first time I'd ever watched that one. That was really good. I like that movie. I did watch The Wizard of Oz to cover with Jacqueline on YouTube, and I hadn't seen that in a long time, but of course it's a staple, and it was interesting to like go in and deep dissect. And I also watched the mashup with Dark Side of the Moon, which people call like Dark Side of the Rainbow.
I also smoked weed in high school.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, Bob, didn't we do that when we were younger together? Didn't we? Yeah. I thought we did. Okay. I thought we did.
Andy actually had it like on a DVD like way back in the day. And
I thought we did. Now it's all mashed up on YouTube perfectly. So you could just do it that way. So yeah, I know.
I used to have to do it back in my day.
Yeah, line it up. All right.
You have to do it the second roar.
Yeah. So that was it was interesting to go back and to watch it with Pink Floyd again. I started Jagged Mind, got to finish it. And then, I watched Ichi the Killer, which I have been on this, like, as I was in bed last night, I was like ranting on Slack about how that movie is just like a crazy Japanese spoof of Batman. But I really enjoyed it. Okay, hang on. Let me I found that movie very interesting.
Cooter alert.
I found it very, very interesting. And it's a movie I would love to talk about because I just couldn't help but like share a bunch of my thoughts on Slack, and nobody else, it's one of those movies where like it's been out forever and I'm just now watching it and like nobody else has seen it in a long time. I'm like, talk to me about this. So, but yeah, it was very interesting movie. Wild. But yeah, Japanese spoof of Batman, I think. That's all I could talk about, I think. Rob, what have you been watching?
A couple things. I've been rewatching the first season of The Bear, which is Hulu. No, FX. It's on FX, so it is on Hulu. Yeah, it's on Hulu. Have you guys watched The Bear? The second season's coming out next week, so I wanted to like revisit the first one. Are you guys familiar with that?
I haven't watched it yet.
I'm familiar, but I haven't watched it. It's for grown-ups who don't just watch sci-fi and horror all the time.
Yeah, it's I guess it's a drama. There's definitely some comedy, but it's about this guy who's like a world-renowned chef, and his brother owns like a small restaurant in Chicago, and he passes away and he moves back home to Chicago to take over the restaurant, and it's like in shambles. So he's like trying his best to fix it and not getting a whole lot of help from his family or his newfound employees. But it's super interesting. Really, the acting is incredible. It's the first season, I think, is 8 episodes. And I recommend watching it. They're like half-hour episodes, so it's easy to kind of burn through. And if you're
that's nice. Yeah, that makes it a lot more like, I can handle that.
I could do that. Like 45 minutes.
Yeah. I had the same exact thought. I was like, Yeah, 30. Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll pencil that one in.
There's nothing like a short runtime to sell me on something. You can, yeah.
I know it. It's great though. I thoroughly enjoy it. And this second season, it's going to drop, I think, on Thursday. And they're putting like all episodes out same day, which they did not do, I don't believe, for the first season. But yeah, looking forward to that. I've also just been like binging No Reservations because the entirety of the series is now on Max. And I hadn't seen those in a long ass time. So it's been kind of fun, like revisiting some of like Anthony Bourdain's older stuff. And I also watched a couple new releases. That Dungeons and Dragons movie. I watched that.
Yeah.
Okay. How was that, Bob?
It's a big, dumb, fun adventure movie. Really like heavy on the comedy, way heavier than I would have assumed. But yeah, it was a fun popcorn movie. Yeah. And I also watched that new Super Mario Brothers movie, which I liked more than I thought I would have. But I didn't necessarily.
I have the same kind of thing.
It's
not like amazing, but you're like, oh yeah, okay,
yeah. Chris Pratt wasn't like as pratty as I anticipated, which was nice.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Black is amazing as always.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like some like really small, tiny character. I don't know what it is, but it's like a flame or something in a little cage. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like hilariously dark.
Oh yeah. Where he just like says like fucked up shit. Yeah.
Like
oh my god, I've never related to a character more in my life.
Yeah, he's like, I welcome death or something like that.
Matters.
Yeah, I don't. That's from if I had to guess, I think it's from Mario Galaxy.
Oh, okay, yeah. I never played, but I
think it's from one of the Mario Galaxies.
That character was like the standout funniest moment in that whole movie. Both those I liked more than I thought I would have. But that's basically all I've been watching. Of course, Thoroughbreds to get ready for Caitlin's show. Highly recommend that movie. Check out Thoroughbreds. That was on Hulu. It might still be there. I'm not totally sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Nice. So yeah, we don't have any voicemails this week. If you guys are listening and want to call in to leave a voicemail for next week's show, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. Juice, do you have any prompts you want to throw out for next week? Rachel, if you have any prompts, feel free to throw them out for anybody who might want to call in next week.
I was thinking about like, got any plans for 4th of July? What's your plans for 4th of July?
That's fireworks, blowing up fingers, just blowing them clean off.
I'm just prepping for spooky season. Just getting ready.
Already ready for it.
I know.
Man.
I'm pre-excited and pre-exhausted.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah. I think I'll throw one out there. If you guys had any dolls like growing up, like what were the brand names? Like, were you like creeped out by them? Were they like something you carried around all the time? Like what kind of weird toys did you have growing up?
Wasn't that our prompt last week?
Was it? I don't remember. Well, it doesn't matter because nobody called.
Double down. Yeah.
Too much weed, Wizard of Oz, and Pink Floyd, my friend.
Wait a minute.
What did we do?
Time is a flat circle.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
All right, Russ.
Yeah, call in 904-638-3231. Rachel, thanks so much again for sitting in with us. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is so much fun, and it was a fun one to talk about. I don't know that I've ever done a deep dive on this. I've just been like quietly a fan. So this was a ton of fun to finally get to talk about it.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you want to remind everybody one more time where they can find your other shows?
Sure. You can find, we are at zombiegirls.com. That's GRRLZ.com. Or you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ZG Podcasts. That's podcast with an S. And if you want to follow me, I'm at Rachy Pants on Twitter. I'm on the other things, but like the only thing I'm ever really on is on Twitter.
Gotcha.
And then if you want to hang out with me IRL, I will be at San Diego Comic-Con next month. They have not announced everything yet, so I can't say what panel I will be moderating, but I will be there that Thursday. So if you are there, swing by, say hi. Love to meet you. it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Badass. Yeah, that's going to do it for us this week. We're going to be back next week, as always. We're talking about the winner of the June poll, which was Mars Attacks. Finally doing it. I'm excited. Heck yeah. Check out
get
Mars
another
Attacks.
week without Randy. Ooh,
I know. Probably. I don't know. He might try and
that's
way
true,
back
man.
in. We'll see. That's what happens when your boy goes on vacation. He just, doesn't care anymore.
Hollywood Randy these days.
Vacation Randy. Check out Mars Attacks. Get ready for next week's show. You can find us at Straight Chilling Podcast everywhere on all the socials. Check us out. If you want to join in our daily Slack channel conversations, just let us know on one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the fun. And yeah, that does it. Until next week. As always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.